Hello, good people. Welcome to Raw Vegan Rising. My name is Shane Sterling. Today I'm outside of this grocery store right here. And I'm here because we're going to talk about how this whole place here is filled with foodstuffs on the shelves, lining the aisles, and none of it is actually food. You know, 100 years ago, the markets would have been filled with pretty much whole food. But today, we're dealing with transnational corporations that fill places like this with their products that they market to us that don't serve our health, that aren't here for the health of the people. And this is the outlet for these transnational corporations and these chemical companies that bombard us with their marketing and their fake products. Okay, so this is just one of the stores that is among many grocery store chains across America and across the world that serves us absolute garbage, okay? And I wanted to talk about it because this is important to understand so we're not getting sick from the food we eat. This grocery store is making America sick. So let's go inside and talk about it. All of this bread right here is filled with chemicals and additives. They started adding bromine to these breads to enrich them, but the bromine calcifies our pineal gland and destroys our thyroid. There's also preservatives because the fact that this bread can sit on the shelves like this and doesn't rot means it's filled with chemicals that we shouldn't be eating. We can just see all of this bread is not fit for human consumption. And then big national brands like Thomas's, for instance, you know, these are, who knows what companies own Thomas's, you know? And Entenmann's, these companies that have been around for all these years like this, there could be chemicals in these food products that we don't even know, you know, that aren't even listed on here. Look at the ingredients list on that. Potassium sorbate, mono and diglycerides, polysorbate 60, cellulose gum. I mean, things that I can't even pronounce. Highly toxic food. This stuff, you know, if we put this stuff in our body, we're creating congestion, which leads to disease. This is all food that creates disease. Here's the dairy aisle. This is all highly pasteurized dairy products. And these products here are from the biggest factory farms across the country. 100% of the dairy that is in these stores comes from the highest factory farms, the biggest, the worst factory farms. And when we pasteurize this dairy like this, it becomes toxic to the body. It's not even recognized as food. You know? All of this stuff that we even feed our kids. We feed these little yogurts here to our kids like this. This stuff's going to make our kids sick. And then we wonder why our kids have runny noses and get sick from school. If your kid gets sick when they're at school, it's because you're feeding them this toxic dairy like this. This entire row, all pasteurized, dead food. The margarines, the hydrogenated margarines like this. Hydrogenated oils aren't even recognized as food in our body. Our body doesn't even know what to do with hydrogenated oils. It's just toxic. It just turns into fat cells because our body can't process it. Eggs, factory farmed eggs. The conditions these chickens are kept in is absolute cruelty. Absolute inhumane, unimaginable, cruel conditions. The biggest factory farms in the state of California and across the United States stock these shelves with these eggs. Highly toxic to our consciousness, highly toxic to our well-being as a species, not only our health, but our emotional and spiritual growth. And it says here, pure and wholesome. Okay, let's go see what's in the pure and wholesome case. Milk. These cows are kept in the most horrendous conditions imaginable. This is the worst factory farming that exists in the state of California and across the United States. This dairy is not only toxic to our bodies, but it's toxic to our consciousness. This makes humanity a cruel species right here. So this pure and wholesome doesn't equate. There's nothing pure And there's nothing wholesome about this milk that comes from factory farm cows. Highly processed nut milks, almond milk, and soy. Even though I love almond milk, I would never consume this. It's just filled with fillers and chemicals and preservatives. Okay, here we got the frozen food aisle. This is an entire aisle of frozen food. So these fish sticks here, this comes from the big trolling ships out in the sea that are destroying the oceans. This is the worst offenders of fishing holocaust in our oceans. Ends up on these shelves right here. This is not only toxic to our bodies, dead food, packaged processed food, but this is toxic to humanity on the planet. This is the result of a condition of our thinking that destroys not only our environment but destroys ourselves. So none of the food in these cases should be eaten at all. Frozen food should be avoided completely. There's nothing alive in this food. So if we eat food like this, it's going to go straight into fat cells in our body because our body can't even recognize it as food. Our body needs life force in the food. It needs electrical living activity, life force of living food. So this is completely dead food, completely dead. All the brands that they're going to sell in these mainstream grocery stores are going to be toxic to our bodies. They're coming from big farms. They're coming from just conditions and practices that are not healthy to the planet or to our bodies. I avoid it completely. I avoid everything in these frozen food aisles. I would never ever purchase or eat any one of these products in here. Let's just see. We got this frozen pizza. Let's just take a look at the ingredients. What in the world? Look at this ingredients list. Look at the size of that ingredients list. What in the world is even in there? I can't even read that. It's just so many ingredients. So that's supposed to be a pizza, but why does it have everything like that in there? It's insane. It's just toxic chemicals. It's toxic to our body. It doesn't serve our body. It doesn't serve our health. It doesn't serve our mind. None of this is even food. Even our beloved Ben & Jerry's comes from factory farmed cows. These cows are kept in horrendous conditions. This should not be consumed under any circumstance, because when we put this kind of suffering into our body, we're not celebrating, we're not giving ourselves a treat, we're actually destroying our own well-being. We're destroying our consciousness by putting this in our body. The celebration of life isn't to have sugar and processed factory farm dairy, but to have raw living foods that uplift our mind, our body, and our spirit, and actually give us life force, vitality, and the proper way of seeing ourselves in the world, which is being a gift to uplift and to serve others, to help others, to be an overflow. But when we eat this toxic processed dairy, it takes our life force. It takes our life force away from us. There's nothing but pain and suffering. Milk doesn't come from cows. Milk comes from mothers, nursing mothers. And those babies have been taken away, and those mothers have been deprived of being a mother. They can't be a mother because we're having their milk taken from them. It's toxic to our consciousness. All of these pet foods are filled with animal byproducts. The byproducts are the entrails, the leftovers from the animal slaughtering process. Also dogs and cats that are slaughtered at the pounds across the United States are put into vats and rendered down into this sludge that is mixed with the animal byproducts from slaughterhouses. So all of these pet foods in this type of grocery store are all going to be the worst offenders in terms of factory farming and where all of the slaughtered animals go from our pounds. This is the animal byproducts that we see in these products. Anything sold on the shelves of this grocery store is going to be toxic to our pets. And on the other side of the aisle, we have chemicals. Chemicals like Tide, All, Gain, Procter & Gamble. The companies that produce these products are some of the worst chemical producing companies in the world. Henkel Corporation, distributed by Henkel Corporation. Do we even know who makes these chemicals? The chemical companies have taken over our world. They tell us that we need these chemicals, and if we look at the advertising on television, All we see is animal products and chemicals advertised, and pharmaceutical drugs. Aisles and aisles and aisles of chemicals. Here we come to the meat section here. Bacon. The World Health Organization states that bacon, beef, luncheon meats, ham, pork, lamb are all classified as level 1 carcinogens. All of this meat comes from the worst factory farming that our country has to offer. These animals are kept in horrendous conditions. They suffer their entire lifetime. And then these products are dyed to make them look red, but are actually just dead. This stuff's been sitting here for weeks, starting to decay. It's unfit for human consumption. And if you look closely, you'll be able to find parasites in this meat. I've done experiments where I've looked at the fish, the salmon and the pork specifically, and found parasites crawling in the packages. This is toxic to not only our bodies, but to the consciousness of our world. This keeps us separate from who we really are, thinking that we need to consume this level of cruelty to sustain ourselves, to sustain our happiness. We need to wake up. We need to realize that we don't need to create cruelty and separation and disease to be happy and healthy in this world. Now here's some salmon. If we look closely, we can probably find parasites climbing in here. Let's see if we can find any. Is that a parasite there? Probably is. I found parasites climbing in the fish before at these types of grocery stores. Either way, this fish is unsustainably caught or farmed. Farmed salmon is the most toxic food we could possibly consume.
Can you open there?
Here's all the luncheon meats.
Videotape it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What up?
Hey, you want to say hi?
What's up, folks?
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
It's for my YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, what's your name?
JJ.
JJ, right on, man. Thanks for saying hi.
What's your YouTube channel?
Raw Vegan Rising. I talk about health. I talk about the meat. I talk about making healthy choices.
You vegan? Are you vegan?
I am. I'm vegan. Yeah. So I try to help people out.
Oh, okay.
Educating them.
Oh, okay.
Helping them understand what the healthier food choices are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a health coach.
You're a health coach?
Yeah.
What's your YouTube channel again?
Raw Vegan
Raw Vegan
Rising.
Rising. Okay.
Yeah, check it out.
All right.
Hey, good to meet you, man.
All right, man.
Have a good day. This is some of the biggest offenders of the most toxic foods on the planet. You know, in nature, the animals that are the most brightly colored are the most toxic and poisonous. I think the same goes for our food. The stuff that's the most brightly colored is the most toxic food. So we shouldn't be eating stuff that's colored like that. Unfortunately, all of the food in these packages is dead. If we eat any of the food in these packages, it makes our body dead. None of this food is fit for human consumption. Brands like Cheez-It are big offenders to the health of our world, the health of humanity. Another aisle of just dead food, nothing in here to eat. If we eat these cereals, it makes our body sick. There's no living nutrients in any of these food. There's no enzymes. When we ingest this type of food, it just creates burden on our pancreas to produce enzymes. It digests extremely slowly. It creates congestion in the body, and that ultimately leads to disease. Even these healthy ones like this, it's all just going to create disease in the body. All the life force is gone in this pineapple. We can't thrive or live on canned pineapple. What was once living, an alkaline food to nourish our body with enzymes and alkalinity and minerals, is now toxic and filled with preservatives, chemicals, sugars, and is going to create acidity in the body. Citric acid, concentrated pineapple juice, clarified pineapple juice concentrate. It's all going to just make our body acidic. So alkaline foods turn acidic in the cans. So if we eat any canned food at all, it's going to create acidity in the body, congestion in the body, and it's going to create disease in our body. Okay, here we come to the produce section. This is the only viable section of food in the entire store. But if we look at these Honeycrisp apples, for instance, they're all extremely uniform. They're all highly enlarged and glossy. So everything's covered in wax. These are big industrial ag farms that produce these apples. And unfortunately, this type of food is going to be nutrient deficient. It's going to be tasteless. It's not very good. And if we eat food like this, we're going to be struggling to thrive. We're going to be struggling to feel our best on food like this. It's peach season right now. So you come over here and you look at the peaches. They're all uniform. They're all huge. And the chemicals and the Roundup that are used and sprayed on these peaches is toxic to the body. Roundup is found in every tissue of every animal across the globe. It's found in the polar ice caps, and glyphosate or Roundup is used in the production of these non-organic fruits at these mainstream grocery stores. Let's find the organic section. Okay, here is the organic section right here. This is the only food in the entire grocery store right here, this little island. This is it. So let's take a look around. We got some unripe pears, unripe mangoes. We got a couple melons. We got some citrus. We got some sweet potatoes. We got some onions, cherry tomatoes, avocados and tomato. We got a couple plums and some peaches. Now see the size of the organic peaches compared to those big non-organic peaches? This is what real food looks like. And look, it's rotting. The organic food is sitting here on the shelf rotting. Look at this. That's because there's no chemicals on this to keep it from rotting. That's actually a good sign. We actually should only eat food that rots. And the last section is the organic green section. So here we got some food. Organic parsley and cilantro and carrots and chard and kale. Yum. Here we go. The only food in the grocery store right here, and that little island right there. That's it. So we got to realize, folks, it's only us that can make the right choices around the food we eat that creates health in our body and health for the world around us. We got to look for the win-win-wins, where what we choose creates a win for us, a win for others, and a win for everything around us. That's the environment, the animals, the plants, the farming practices. These organic foods here are the only foods in this entire store that are worth eating. The rest of the store, all of this, all of these aisles is nothing but dead food. When we put that dead food in our body, it just creates toxicity, it creates congestion, it creates difficulty eliminating, and then when we get backed up waste, we get acidosis, and it creates disease in our body, it creates degeneration in our body. It makes us age faster, it makes us feel like crap, it takes our life force and it robs us of our well-being. So we have to choose the healthy foods. We have to choose organic foods. In a grocery store of nothing to eat, we have to come to the one section that we can actually eat in. Yes, it's disheartening. Yes, it's kind of scary to redo our way of thinking and way of interacting with our grocery stores and the way we buy food, but it's essential for life, for health, for the well-being of our future, for our children. This is what we're up against. This is a war. The war is waging in the world right now, and the war is also internal. It's a battle for our humanity. It's a battle for right and wrong. And you know what's interesting is right down the street, there's a farmer's market happening. Right down the way, there's a Whole Foods market, which sells much better quality products with a little more thought and consciousness into the way they curate their grocery store. And then beyond that, there's another local natural market that sells all organic local. They're a small locally owned market. So just within 2 miles of where I'm standing right now, there's a natural food store, Whole Foods in this case, a completely local organic store, and a farmer's market. So it's all just choices, folks. It's all just choices. We can choose to eat living, vibrant foods that uplift us, uplift the animals, uplift everything around us. It's our choice. So that's my message. My message is, let's create a better world by how we feed ourselves. Let's raise our consciousness by the food that we put in that electrically activates our cells, that nourishes our cells, the raw food nutrition. It can change your life. It can change your life. Avoid stores like this. Avoid big grocery store chains that sell nothing but garbage food that poisons us and poisons the environment and poisons the animals, poisons our mind, our consciousness. Go to the farmer's market instead. You know, go to the natural Whole Foods market or whatever you got, the natural market. So that's my message. Thanks for being with me on this video. I appreciate it so much. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to Raw Vegan Rising. I'd love to have you along on this journey of discovering our health and our vitality and re-envisioning the future of our humanity. Thanks so much. See you in the next one. So I just stopped at my healthy market and I picked up some fruit for myself. Check this out. All organic, watermelon, honeydew, 2 cantaloupes, 4 things of blueberries, local ripe plums ready to eat, local ripe figs ready to eat. I'm gonna actually eat those probably right now. Delicious apricots, juicy, white peaches that are organic, ripe, in season, ready to eat, dates, which are a staple of mine, some avocados, some bananas that gotta brown up before they're ready to eat. And yeah, that's how you do it.